Korean films are some of the most realistic and inventive in the industry today. Korea's film industry is the most well-known in the world for all types of films. As a result, Topless decided to take a trip down memory lane and select some of the best South Korean thrillers ever created. These top Korean thriller films may be available on Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime. Old Boy, 2003. Park Chan-wook directed and co-wrote Old Boy, a 2003 South Korean neo-noir action thriller film. The film is based on the Japanese manga of the same name and tells the story of Odesu, Choi Min-sik, who has been imprisoned in a cell that looks like a hotel room for 15 years without knowing who his captor is or what his captor's motivations are. When Desu is ultimately let free, he discovers that he is still caught up in a web of deception and brutality. When he falls in love with Midu, a beautiful young sushi chef, his own desire for revenge gets entwined with romance, Kang Hye-jin. At the 2004 Cannes Picture Festival, the film received the Grand Prix and strong acclaim from the jury's president, filmmaker Quentin Tarantino. Old Boy has garnered positive reviews from reviewers in the United States, with Roger Ebert remarking that the film is powerful not because of what it shows, but because of the depths of the human heart that it exposes naked. It was highly praised for its action moments, particularly the single-shot combat. It has been hailed as one of the finest neo-noir films of all time, and various publications have named it among the top films of the 2000s. The film has been recreated twice, once in Hindi in 2006 and again in English in 2013. The Wailing, 2016. Kwok Do-won, Hwang Jung-min, and Chun Woo-hee feature in The Wailing, a 2016 South Korean horror film directed by Na Hong-jin and starring Kwok Do-won, Hwang Jung-min, and Chun Woo-hee. In order to save his daughter, a police officer investigates a series of inexplicable homicides and Analysis in the secluded Korean town of Kokseo. The picture was a critical and economic triumph. The strange presence of a mystery Japanese guy in a small Korean town, tightly knit by superstition and religious beliefs, counteracts a string of catastrophic crimes of intense devotion that perplex local law enforcement officials. The investigating detective, Jong-gu, removes himself from the tragedy but is forced to look further when his daughter exhibits symptoms of the same sickness that preceded the chaos. The Wailing is masterful storytelling at its finest, reinforcing the claim about Korean films being flawlessly conveyed. Na Hong-jin transports viewers into a deep and convoluted vortex of suspense and tense drama that leaves you perplexed and heartbroken. This movie is fantastic. The Handmaiden, 2016. Park Chan-wook directed The Handmaiden, a 2016 South Korean sexual psychological thriller film starring Kim Min-hee, Kim Tae-ri, Ha Jung-woo, and Cho Jin-woong. It is based on Welsh writer Sarah Waters' 2002 novel Fingersmith, with the setting moved from Victorian-era Britain to Korea under Japanese colonial control. Count Fujiwara, a con artist, enlists the help of Suki, a crafty apprentice, to defraud a Japanese princess of her fortune by having her fall in love with him. But, as Lady Hideko's handmaiden, Suki falls in love with her purity and pure beauty, as well as her own sensuality. She concocts a scheme with Hideko to fool Fujiwara, who had previously concocted a scheme with Hideko to deceive Su. The Handmaiden is a brilliant narrative that is masterfully unraveled in well-structured chapters. Its execution and speed are both spot-on, compelling you to get emotionally involved and experience the actual magic of movies. Memories of Murder, 2003. Bong Joon-ho co-wrote and directed Memories of Murder, a 2003 South Korean criminal thriller film. It is partially based on the actual story of Korea's first proven serial killings, which occurred in Hwaseong, Gyeonggi Province, between 1986 and 1991. Detective Park and Detective Seo, played by Song Kang-ho and Kim Sang-kyung, are two of the investigators attempting to investigate the crimes. On rainy days, Korea's first serial murderer targets ladies and demands that sad letters be played on the radio. As a result of the seriousness of the issue, the local agencies enlist the help of a big city detective, who egoistically eliminates the local detectives. The killings are still unsolved, despite the fact that the statute of limitations has passed. One of the most crucial aspects of a suspense film is pacing, and Memories of Murder does it right. Its characters, particularly the investigator from Seoul, and the abrupt tonal shifts throughout the story reflect the film's startling feeling of emotional anguish. A film of the greatest caliber that ought to be seen by as many people as possible. Mr. Vengeance, 2005. Park Chan-wook directed and co-wrote Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, a 2002 South Korean thriller film. Shin Ha-kyu plays Ryu, a young deaf-mute factory worker who tries to get money for his sister's kidney transplant by kidnapping the daughter of a wealthy man, and the path of retribution that ensues when the scheme goes astray. Song Kang-ho, Bae Do-na, Ha Bo-bae, and Im Ji-yoon are among the film's cast members, in addition to Ha-kyu. Ryu is a deaf and mute manufacturing worker who is dismissed for acting inappropriately. Ryu's problems are exacerbated when his sister becomes unwell and is on her deathbed, as he is the family's sole earner. Fearing for her life, Ryu and his girlfriend kidnap a business tycoon's daughter, who does not reply in kind. The Chaser, 2008. Kim Yoo-seok and Ha Jung-woo feature in The Chaser, a 2008 South Korean action thriller. Na Hong-jin made his directing debut with this film. Certain sequences were shot on site at Mangwon-dong in Seoul's Mapo district, inspired by real-life Korean serial murderer Yo Young-chul. Jung-ho is a disgraced cop who has become a pimp. He sends Mi-jin, his most dependable asset, when one of his females goes missing. She doesn't come back and instead wakes up in a restroom, bound. Yang Min, the man who put her there, is a serial murderer who has already killed 6 people. When Jung-ho collides with Yang by accident, Amai is given a lifeline, and a pursuit follows, with the destiny of the 2 people in the balance. The Chaser is unquestionably a strong directorial debut. The plot is well written and the characters are well developed. The Chaser, which is immersive, engaging, and richly agonizing, lives up to its exhilarating title and Tale of Two Sisters, 2003. Kim Ji-woon wrote and directed A Tale of Two Sisters, a psychological horror drama film released in South Korea in 2003. The film is based on the folktale Jangwa Hongryeo Je, which has been converted to cinema multiple times throughout the Joseon dynasty. The tale revolves around a newly released mental hospital patient who goes home with her sister, only to be confronted by horrific occurrences involving her stepmother and the spirits who haunt their home, all of which are linked to a terrible past in the family's history. Many consider A Tale of Two Sisters to be one of the most polarizing psychological thrillers to come out of Korea. The story revolves around two sisters, one of whom is released from a mental facility on the same day as her stepmother's brother and his wife arrive at their remote estate. The sisters' birth mother's spirit stalks them as they begin their acclimatization back in the house. I Saw the Devil is a 2010 South Korean action thriller film written by Park Ho-jung and directed by Kim Ji-woon. The film stars Lee Byung-ho and Choi Min-sik and tells the story of NIS agent Kim Soo-yoon, Lee, who seeks vengeance after his fiancée is brutally killed by psychotic serial murderer Jang Kyung-chul, I Saw the Devil had a limited theatrical distribution in the United States after its premiere at the 2011 Sundance Film Festival. I Saw the Devil begins as a lovely dream and concludes as a ghastly nightmare. The opening sequence is unquestionably one of the most memorable and lavish of the 21st century. In the snow, Jo-yeon waits for a tow truck in her deflated automobile. A mysterious stranger approaches and offers assistance. He arrives out of nowhere and fatally wounds her before dragging her back to his place and chopping her up. Jo's father, Yeon's the district police head, gives her spouse, Soo-hyun, information on previous criminal. He finds and tortures Kyung-chul, the guy who murdered his wife, until his plan goes astray. The Man from Nowhere, 2010. The Man from Nowhere is a 2010 South Korean action thriller film directed by Lee Jeong-beom and starring Won Bin. With 6.2 million admissions, it was South Korea's highest grossing picture of 2010. On 1st October 2010, the film was released in the United States and Canada. When the one person who seems to understand him is abducted, the film chronicles the narrative of a strange and shadowy guy, Won Bin, who goes on a deadly rampage. It's also Won Bin's final on-screen appearance till 2020. Chae-suk is a quiet man who owns and operates a pawn store. Suk makes a friend in a tiny child who lives next door and whose mother is an addict. The drug boss kidnaps the delinquent mother and her daughter after she steals narcotics from him. Suk, a distinguished ex-black operation, is approached by the guys who have arrived to fetch the bag, and instead begins looking for his lone buddy. The Man from Nowhere does a very fantastic job of using tension to advance the plot. The gripping storyline forces the audience to devote their complete attention to the picture, which is rewarded with an intriguing and airy tale of sacrifice and love. Confession of a Murder, 2012. Confession of Murder is a 2012 South Korean action thriller film starring Jung Jae-young and Park Si-ho and directed by Jung Byung-gil. It's about a cop who's troubled by the fact that he failed to apprehend a serial murderer 15 years ago and who returns to the case after a novelist publishes I Am the Murderer, claiming responsibility for the killing. When the protagonist of a serial murder case 15 years ago reappears with his autobiographical sketch, I Am the Murderer, therefore offering a written confession enough to catch or kill him, a repentant police officer has an opportunity to redeem himself. With subtle moments of passion and seductive elements of spine-chilling drama, Jung Byung-gil manages to saturate his narrative. This action thriller is elevated to a must-watch sanctuary because of the actors and clever directing.